put my phone away.
Yeah, I'm put my pick down because I'm fidget with it.
Yes.
Whoo! Tell you what.
All right. Ready?
You got a Como? No, I'm cool.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Awakened Soul Podcast. I got my brothers in the building from the Socially Unacceptable Podcast. We got Barry Whiteowl and Will Spliff in the building.
Hello.
How y'all doing today, man?
Man, another day. Took this long journey up here, and
I keep forgetting how far you live, bro.
Yo, as soon as I was like driving, I was like, how did he take this trip without any complaints, man? I'd have said something.
Bro, the driving thing for me has never really bothered me, only because like I'm one of those people who I'll drive as long as it's under 10 hours, I'll drive it rather than fly. So like
under
10?
10 hours.
Under 10 hours.
10 hours.
Yeah. So that little bit of shit in the same
Christ.
city don't ever bother me.
Man, I was like, man, he like 3X's past East. No, I don't know if I hit. Like, this is a trick.
Y'all funny.
I'm used to it.
But yeah, man, so I appreciate y'all coming out, and specifically on this episode, I wanted to do something different because I feel like every time all three of us together, we talk a lot of music. That's our shit. We have dope-ass music conversations, but I wanted to have something a little bit more in depth today, and the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is that I feel, already black men talking about mental health is rare, it's needed, and everything like that, but I also feel like as creatives, us keeping our mental health a priority is difficult because not only are we balancing everyday life that every black man deals with, but as well as like the scrutiny of being in the public eye and creating, the mental stress over creating every motherfucking day at that, and then like everything that just goes into being in a creative space. So we're gonna talk about that, but before we get into that, just as a slight like jumping off point to just talk about some shit in the world, R. motherfucking Kelly. Fam, and I don't know about y'all, the thing, like, him being convicted, it was long overdue, but the amount of black men that are still supporting this motherfucker is disgusting to me, bro. Like, I can't believe that shit. And, like, using the whole, like, I see a lot, I don't know what you guys seen on social media, but at least on my social media, I see a lot of, like, comparing it to other white people and shit like that. And my thing is that I think when people do that, they forget that most of his victims were black women. So when you try to do that, you not only forgetting to protect black women, but outside of that, the motherfucker was a creep. Regardless of anything else, he needed to be in motherfucking jail. So like, what's been your guys' response? Like, how you guys have been dealing with that, and what have you been seeing on social media when it comes to that shit?
Man, I see the same thing on social media where they're trying to compare, and it's like at the same time, why are you trying to justify? Like, that's all I'm reading into. It's like you're trying to justify it.
Exactly.
Like, well, just go look at Elvis. Like, bro, it don't matter. You're like we're focusing on him right now. Like,
exactly.
This is what we.
Yeah.
He's going to jail. So it's exposing a lot of people, and I appreciate that, honestly. Like,
For sure.
I need to see your cards, and you're showing them. So go ahead, man, because it's fuck R.Kelly forever for me. Like,
Yeah, bro, that shit is like,
it's insane.
Yeah.
Nah, I agree. I'm just like, fuck him. Next topic. Because it's like, I don't know. He was, like we were talking about it the other day, he's been hiding in plain sight all these years.
Literally.
So it's like, to even justify, like, I don't know. I just, fuck him.
Like his songs,
Fuck
like
him.
his
I mean,
age
even-
ain't nothing but a number.
that's the
It's
thing. You said hiding in plain
Yeah.
sight. Age ain't nothing but an album cover. R.Kelly is literally in the background of the album cover. He's
Staring at
literally been hiding in plain sight
Literally.
for 30 years almost.
Yeah.
Like, just teasing you. Like,
yeah, like,
And so, and I honestly just don't get how anybody can defend it, like, and or even compare it to anything else, because it's like you said, its victims were black women, and I don't know. I get it, the times were different, but still, all of that's just some lame shit. That's really all I can say is just fuck them.
No, the times are still the times. Like, that was still looked down upon, but talent, beats everything. So people just
At that time.
Yeah. So
But yeah. Fuck him.
about time, and I hope he gets the same.
come on now, bro.
I
You
hope he
already
get the
know.
same
Talking about
shit in
him?
Chicago, man. So
Yeah,
because this is just New York. Like, this ain't the Chicago trial, right? Like, this is just a piece.
yeah.
of it.
He's still got, I think, trials in 2 other places that he
Yeah.
has that's coming up. So shit's crazy, man.
Going back and watch that Gayle King interview is hilarious.
Like, that came from a real place.
Exactly. Like,
Outta
and the
here,
thing
man.
is I really wonder, mental health is something I talk about, and we're going to be talking about today. But like, did he disassociate himself so much from the shit that he was doing that he literally doesn't think he did anything wrong. Because like going back and looking at the Gayle King interview, you can't tell me that that's not somebody who literally is confused why people are thinking he's a fucking pedophile and it's or a creep. And it's like, dude, what the fuck?
Literally. Like, do you not know? Like,
exactly. Like,
no.
You think this is cool?
Yeah. And then the motherfucker had the nerve to call himself the Pied Piper. Like,
which is a whole
like,
plain sight.
Plain sight.
It's
crazy, man. It's crazy. And like, I'm at the place now where like anybody, any type of any form of R. Kelly supports, you got to get up out, like you block. Like, and I don't even usually block. I'm not an advocate of blocking people because usually I'm cool with ignoring whatever else. But that shit, fuck that. I got daughters, man. You got to get up off my timeline with that bullshit.
Yep, because people are still so, well, I'm going to still play his music. Like, for what, though? Like, you don't hear the lyrics now a little bit differently. Like,
exactly.
It'll sound crazier. You know what I mean?
It'll be different if, like, he didn't sing about, like, going back and listen, he is singing about the exact shit that he did.
Yep.
You may be young, but you ready.
Life imitates art. Like, for him, he put that
like he
right on wax.
He's 100% of unapologetically himself in his music. All of that came from a real place.
Yeah. But people sing it right along, you know what I mean?
Selling out stadiums.
Yeah, that seems like you ready is like so creepy. Like just in the song itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see nothing wrong. Like just the song titles. Just go back and look at the songs. But yeah, it's he's a nasty guy, man, and I'm glad he's in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Put him and any of his supporters need to be in the jail right along with his ass.
Anybody who co-signed anything he did for real needs to be held accountable.
The question though is, are you still gonna listen to songs written by him? You know what I mean? Because it's a line.
That is the difficult part of it because R. Kelly wrote or produced on like almost 90% of R&B classics in that time frame. So it's like, because he didn't perform it, am I okay with it? Because like even the other day, like I'm just driving, listening to my 90s R&B playlist, and I'm sitting here like, R. Kelly wrote this shit. Now he isn't on the song at all, but he wrote this shit. So like I'm honestly, I don't know, because at that point now we're penalizing other artists who didn't do the shit. Right. So it's like I don't know, but I can't blame anybody who's like anything written, produced, performed,
shut it all
that shit got to go. I can't blame them at all.
He wrote a song for Mike too.
Yeah.
That's what
about first Space Jam.
So,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that forever?
That I
like,
believe I can fly.
Do you still believe you can fly?
They used to play that shit at like graduations,
bro.
The most inspirational song.
Imagine them playing that shit at like senior graduation.
Yo,
R. Kelly parked outside.
They gonna play that again.
Man, listen.
Graduation.
But no.
Man.
He's going to hell.
I'm done. That's a lie. But yeah, I'm glad he in there, man. We'll see what happens at the next one, but he going away forever.
Oh yeah, he ain't never getting
singing for a cookie.
You think he gonna make it to trial?
Yeah.
Well, all of these, you think
yeah, they ain't gonna kill the black.
Oh, not R. Kelly. Like it'd be if me or you were in jail for that shit. No, they would have been dead at the act. At him being like this.
Do you think? I don't want
to
to sound
about like government or something gonna take him out.
No, like himself. I don't want to sound like dark or now you want to say it.
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah,
because I think him like that shred of hope that he was holding on to that he was gonna get the fuck out. That shit's gone. So I don't know, bro.
So I was like, will we even make it that far in the story, or
I don't know, man.
And I hate to get dark like that, but
no,
like,
that's a good.
These are some serious cases that like
he going away forever. I don't know, man.
Really
he might be hosting talent shows.
And so here's the question I want to ask you guys, because this is something that is really confusing to me. Because there's still women who are supporting R. Kelly in this shit. And that shit blows my fucking I don't understand it, bro.
It's confusing. You know what I mean? To say the least, because I feel like they should be the first one on the line. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like they shouldn't, but it's protect black women at all costs. So how are y'all not understanding that too as black women? But
you think some people just defending just to be on the other side? Like just
I mean, people do shit all the time for like social media and reaction. So that I don't put anything past that.
Shock value.
Really believe that they really support him? Like I don't know. I just don't get any like.
No, I think so. I think it's
like,
hell yeah. I think people are still riding around listening to albums and stuff by him. I don't think that's ever. I feel like didn't the streaming numbers go up?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like, let me see what he talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it was after the R. Kelly documentary, whatever that.
Yeah,
was, you know
I forgot the name of that shit. But
so I don't know. We gonna see.
That remains to be seen. That story is going to be interesting to watch whenever they make because Lifetime's going to make a movie about that shit at least, if not somebody else. But moving on from that shit. All right, let's get into the main shit. Let's fuck R. Kelly.
Speaking of mental health.
So I think this topic is pertinent because not only like outside of just being a creative, the last 2 years have been taxing on mental health like a motherfucker with the pandemic and shit. So where are you guys right now at with like evaluating, protecting, and even taking a look at your own mental health?
Man, trying to take a step back and look at it, because everybody tells me that I have, not everybody, but people I'm really close with tells me I have like certain issues I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So even trying to look at those issues, like, okay, yeah, that's a problem. I probably should work on that. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like literally assessing my problems at this moment, because like you said, it's been taxed in the past 2 years, and I've been trying to like stay away from it, even though it's right in our face.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, anxiety and all that stuff. So it's more of I'm figuring it out. You know what I mean?
I feel it.
For me, because I used to like never consider myself as a creative, but these past 2 years is when I think I've began to see myself, and that's when I really became aware of my mental health. Because it's like with creating and doing it so often, and with everything that's going on, it's really like exposed a lot of things in myself, like tendencies, habits, and things like that. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm still assessing mine as well and trying to find ways. Because like when you were on our show a couple months ago, you actually gave me some advice that I took right away. It's like because I was getting bogged down with the shit on the news and all of that protest, and so I was stuck. And so I went and took your advice, went ahead, took a trip, went to Florida, came back, and things did look differently. And so that was one of the things I think, had I not been like in this creative space, that I would have figured out and needed to do and go from there, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Like, yeah, I mean, taking a break, taking a vacation is always amazing for mental health. And I think like it's easy to forget that, because you just see it as like, oh, I'm just gonna go on this trip, and like, but taking a break from the day-to-day, the norm, breaking up that monotony, like it allows you a different perspective, and you'll be surprised. Like when you go back, even some of the shit that may have been annoying before, you come back and you're like, you know what? This ain't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it interesting that you say that you didn't view yourself as creative. So what have you viewed? Just because we've known each other like it's going on 4 years at this point now, right?
Yeah.
So what did you view yourself as if it wasn't a creative?
The homie who got mics.
Mics and cameras.
Because like even when we started doing it, honestly, I got the most joy out of it just hanging with my friends once a week. Like, because that's all essentially podcasting was. Like, all right, we have good conversations, let's just record them. And then it came to the point where it was like, okay, we can do this every week, and it gives us time, one, to hang out, discuss what we need to. But yeah, I was just the homie with the mic. And through just like repetition, and then like linking with you, and then just seeing what it could turn into, I didn't realize, because I felt like anybody could start a podcast.
Yeah.
Literally. And especially like with the way we started, like everybody has the power to walking on them. So it was more so imposter syndrome, I guess. Because I didn't feel like I was doing anything special. But then I started to get feedback and seeing how like other people receive the content, and then even watching how like our relationship has changed since we started forming and all of that. That's when I was like, okay, we actually are doing something that's different. Yeah. And then so that came with its own challenges after that. After labeling myself a creative after that, I was like, okay, now I felt like I have these expectations and things. Different set of challenges came when I started to identify as a creative that I saw. But I loved it though.
Did you always see yourself as a creative?
Just the homie with the mic. No, it was like he said, it was really just kicking it with friends, having dope conversations throughout the week. That didn't really hit me until, like you said, feedback from artists. You know what I mean? Started coming in, like people that we know and stuff, and other people gave us feedback. But when like other creatives were literally looking at us like, oh no, your stuff is different. Yeah. Like you do something differently than I've ever encountered, as far as like in Columbus or in Ohio. You know what I mean? So it's like that's something like, oh no, this is something we can actually do. Like we're working. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And it was really like the outreach of you and other creatives who were just like, yo, your shit is dope. And I'm like, oh wait, so all these people that I'm looking to that inspire me think I'm dope?
Yeah.
Maybe I am.
From here, yeah.
And I think too, like the thing with content creation is that it is like, I always say that too, like there's nothing that makes me special as far as a creative other than my ability to just figure the shit out and get the shit done, right? But like every tool, everything that I've learned, it's all been from like public, like anybody can get the tools that I use to learn. It's just if you have the passion for it. But that passion is what turns us from just normal people to actual creatives, because like anybody can just sit in front of. That's why I always say like people who say they want to get into podcasts, they're like, yeah, I could talk about anything. Just talking don't make you a creative. You feel me? Like anybody can talk, especially if it's something that you love and that you're passionate about. But the thing that separates it and where the conversation about mental health comes in at is that when you don't fucking feel like creating and you still have to do that shit. Man. Listen, that and that's the thing for me, that like, because over the pandemic, I didn't take a break. A lot of podcasts took breaks or whatever. I was creating all through the pandemic. And
you
like,
expanded.
Yeah, it's true. I also grew, and like there's several episodes while I was learning video when my beard is big as fucking shit and my hair is long as shit because the barbershops were closed. But like like getting through those episodes made me realize, like, and seeing the other creatives that I respected, they stopped creating content and I was still going, that made me be like, all right, this is what separates me from people, right? It's the drive and the desire to get to it. But where that mental health coincides with that is, like, I don't know how it works with you guys. Me, like, I have these periods of being hyper creative. And I tweeted about this earlier today, like, where I will knock out, because, you know, I have several different podcasts. Like, I will literally be here in the studio and I don't have my kids 2 and 3 days for the most part throughout that time, and knock out like 3 episodes for each podcast and just have them stored and ready to go. But then after that, my mental is fucked up. And so like those, having those periods of hyper creativity and then just my normal creativity outside of that, it's the reset, because the shit that I talk about isn't always the easiest shit. And so like for me, it's easy to get bogged down sometimes in that shit, and then I need to learn to separate. So the way that I kind of looked at this, and let me know how you guys agree or disagree with it, is that I feel like no matter how good or whether you're making money at this shit or not, being a creative can only take up 20% of your life. And the reason why I say that is because outside of just being a creative, most of us still have to work 9 to 5s, still got to be parents if we have kids, still got to make time for your family or yourself if you don't have a big family, leisure time to just do whatever the fuck you like that's not involved in being a creative. And like if you allow your creative side to take over 20% of your life, I don't see how anybody can be mentally stable in a sense. I don't give a fuck if you're Joe Budden, Joe Rogan. I don't give a fuck who you are. If it takes up more than 20% of your time, you're fucked, is where I feel. What do you guys think about that?
That's actually a good way to look at it, man, as far as that, because giving too much out, you know what I mean, will crash you. I feel like I'm at that 20% mark, you know what I mean, as far as doing the work. Man, that's such a different way to look at it, though.
Yeah, I'm sitting there, like, I feel triggered now because I'm like looking at my time and yeah, because he'll tell you I'll go out, because like it's weird because my creativity, now that I'm identifying it, it comes like in waves. So it'll be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll wake up, go sit outside of my patio, and knock out an entire 2-hour episode just because I really. And I think it stems from, I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but we were talking about the other day. I think it goes into the mental health. Like, a lot of times we sit way too close to the content that we create to actually enjoy it or really see how dope it is. Yeah. So it's like, we'll drop a trailer or something. Somebody said, like, it's fire. And all I'm looking at is the things that I, like, messed up or why I felt rushed to put this out right now. And so that comes with its own problem. So I think that's where a lot of mine starts from. And having that, I think I spent way more than 20% of my time. But I'm also still in like the learning phase on like establishing a routine, and because I like doing it, so it's also my leisure time as well. Yeah. But I do need to put those boundaries you just spoke about, because I do see other areas in my life where, okay, I'm absent for 6 hours, 3 days a week, but I'm super excited because like, oh yeah, I have this thing that's awesome that I want everybody to see, but it's not ready yet. Yeah. And then I'm trying to show everybody clips like Kanye preview on my album before it come out. And at that point, it just, yeah.
I think for me, it's freeing once you get to the place of, once it's released and out to the world, you don't own that shit anymore. That is for the people who are consuming that content. Yeah, listen back. Because I think I talked to you guys one of the first times we talked, like, it's like watching game tape. Go back and listen, but like, you have to separate yourself from what you create. And so like, once you learn to like, trust yourself enough. That's really what it boils down to, is that if you trust yourself as a creative, once you release it, you're free of it. Take a second to revel in the reaction, the people listening to it or whatever, then take some time to yourself, and then it's kind of time to jump back in and start playing in the next episode. So like that's why you have, like, because when I started this, I will obsess about an episode for 2 days after it's out. And so like I'm going back and listening and re-uploading because like I hear a little something in the background. And so like I had to learn it's out already. Fuck it. It's out. You feel me? It's out. So let me take this time. I'm gonna retweet. I'm gonna interact with people who are tweeting about it and listening to it. And then I'm gonna take some time to myself and we're gonna jump back in and start on the next one. But that one that's out already, I'm not obsessing over that shit.
I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're at the stage now with our podcast where I feel like we're doing some of our best work to where we're about to take off now.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I've always wanted to ask you is like, okay, with your mental health routine and taking care of yourself, did that change after the bag started coming? Or like, how did you see money influence?
After the bag started coming.
Oh, man. Okay, so yes. So after the Disney Plus deal, I went back into being hyper sensitive over what I was creating. Because I felt like at that point in time that I had a sponsor in Disney Plus, which was huge, that my work had to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then I started realizing, well, no, they decided to invest in your shit because your shit is already good. So then after I started making money from my shit, I think for me, it was easy. Like I don't really think about, I honestly, and people will listen to this and don't believe it, but like, I don't think about the check. Like my ad revenue check comes once a month. I just got the shit the other day. I look at it, be like, all right, this was a good month. I deposit and I keep it fucking moving.
Okay.
Like that's just real talk. Like I think because it goes both ways, right? Because if I have a down month where I don't make as much ad revenue, it's like, all right, am I failing on something? I can obsess over that, or I can let the money make me obsess to just keep doing shit and make more. And it's like, no, like there's not many people who aren't big names who have gotten to the place where I've gotten. So I'm good. Don't worry about this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think too, like when you asked about my mental health routine, it developed over time. I think I just recently got to a place to where, because I didn't miss releasing an episode. Even now, there's more episodes of The Awakened Soul than weeks The Awakened Soul has even been in creation. This is episode 225, but I'm at 200 and almost 60 episodes counting bonus episodes that I was doing. Awakened Soul just turned 4 years old in August.
Oh shit! Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. Achievement. So
200.
So, but this has been the first year that like there have been times where I'm just like, you know what? I got something to talk about, but it's not enough for a full episode. I'm not gonna drop an episode this week, and I'm perfectly fine doing it. And people think I'm crazy because now that I get paid, like I can literally drop an episode, and this isn't to sound cocky, of a 15-minute conversation and get 2,000 listens, and that's gonna be some money in my pocket. But then it's like, all right, am I watering down the brand by doing that? Okay. So it's like, I'm fine just being like, look, this week I ain't got shit for y'all this week, but catch me next week.
That's the roughest. Yeah. I'm like trying to find anything to talk. You know what I mean? Just, and then we'll still come together like, okay, so we're just going to talk. You know what I mean? But
because you also getting big up you, because you also gave us some helpful feedback as well during our conversation we had about creating content and then just commenting on it.
Yeah.
And that piece of advice literally like sort of reshaped the way we went around all the episodes after that. And so I want to big up you up for that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's, and you know, there are a lot of content commentators out there, and there's a place for that, right? But it makes it different when you're actually creating content. So not just listening to the album and saying, hey, let's talk about all these tracks, but like what you guys do, you link it back to like, all right, well, what's been the growth over Kanye over his career? And like, that's the difference between just commenting on content and creating a new level of content, because not only are they getting that album review from you guys, but now they're getting an actual commentary and thoughtfulness put into how this artist has grown or not. And that's what makes shit different. And that's, you know, that's why I at least on this podcast, I try not to, this is my podcast where I try not to really comment a lot on albums, because I have the Breaks Radio for that. Film, I have the Film Frequency for that. Like I have other avenues for that. Like this is where the creation is like special. I really try to take these concepts and break them down. But sometimes in that shit, bro, like this shit can be heavy as fuck. You feel me? And I don't think people, because they sit back and they listen and they don't realize the thoughtfulness that had to go into just preparing. So in talking about mental health, that means that I have to stop and sit about and admit to myself where I'm failing my own mental health. That shit ain't easy, bro. That shit ain't easy.
Oh yeah.
So Yeah.
And then to be able to tell people like, yo, yeah, this is where I'm failing in my mental health.
Yeah.
Like just being in the public eye by itself creates its own like mental health challenges.
For sure. Especially as me, like, I know people don't think it, but I'm introverted you guys have been around me outside of I don't talk. Like people who think that like they listen to this shit and be like, how do you not talk, you podcast? I literally do not talk if I'm not in front of a mic more times.
As soon as these cameras go off, it goes dead silent.
So like, yeah, it's in live shows, like that shit is the most, for me,
man.
bro, my body shuts down for 2 days after every time I did a live show. The last live show I did was in Dallas. That was right before the pandemic. That was like 200 people, and it was a great show, amazing show, whatever. But then afterwards, on that flight back, I was like, look, I don't want to see anybody for a week. And then luckily, 3 days after that is when the fucking pandemic started. So it was like, and lockdown happened. So like I got to reset then, but that's just crazy, man.
And that was one of the, and I hate calling them benefits of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But like, I started seeing an increase in like a lot of podcasts doing live shows. And then so like we got a couple of offers, but then the pandemic hit, and I'm super introverted as fuck. So as soon as that hit, I'm like, oh hell yeah! Now the playing field's level. We can all start from the same place. I don't gotta stand in front of 200 people because I'm introverted. That'll give me hella anxiety. Like
The thing the pandemic taught me too is the benefit of digital events. Is doing that shit over the internet, because then you don't have to look at all 200 people at one time.
Oh man,
yeah,
I can't imagine. And that's, I know, the place we want to get to, but it's like right now in my head, like talking to 200 is like
a live panic attack on stage for
Oh,
hours.
bro, my first ever live show, the one in DC, legitimately, I was in the back and I came out and I fucked myself up because I came out and saw how many people were sitting there. And that one, it was probably like 110 people at that one. And AJ literally had to come to me and be like, grab my hand and be like, you got this. Calm down. Because she could see it on my face. Like I was fucking flustered as fuck. And then I took 2 shots of tequila.
Okay, that's gonna open you up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I was walking to come out there and they started playing the music and shit, and I was like, okay, I got this. And then I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember the first sentence out my mouth had the whole crowd laughing. Because I think I said something like, oh, you motherfuckers actually showed up, didn't you? And that shit had everybody laughing, and then my nerves got down. Because it was like, all right, I've broken the ice now. But that shit was scary as fuck.
Yeah, I can't imagine. We got offered to do, I forget what the show was, at a black event. And he called me, he's like, yo, you trying to do it? I'm like, yeah, like, I want to. I
was
really
happy
do.
he said no.
Like, all right, it's done. You got to do it in 2 days. I'm like, oh, that's not enough time, man. It's not enough.
At the time, we were barely writing our own show.
Literally.
Like,
so yeah, it was.
So how have you used being a creative to help your mental health? Because like for me, I always say the Waking Soul is my diary, so I get a lot of shit off my chest when I have those episodes. Is that how you guys use it too?
Honestly, yeah, it's just an open platform to us, for me just to be honest, in my spare bedroom. Like, it's really, you know what I mean? Like that's all it is.
Like
man.
the first like half hour of our show, just thoughts over 30. So it's just shit that we learn that we really don't get to talk about, that other people wouldn't really appreciate or get, like just everyday life.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it's definitely been that. That, and it's good being around family.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have this scheduled time once a week to be about family, and we start noticing like the teamwork and how everybody start playing their roles and stuff like that. Like makes me happy, gets me excited, and that's where I get my sense of like fulfillment, when everybody's engaged in something.
For sure.
And so like that, and through the being a creative, like I've gotten music and other avenues that have like helped my mental health, that made me happier, that have brought me to better places. Like there's music that I've come across that I wouldn't have come across had we not started the podcast.
Makes sense.
And there's like artists and people that I wouldn't have met that have helped my mental health and even identified some mental health things that I wouldn't have seen had I not started this podcast.
Honestly, they're like 2 therapists, I feel like, in the room whenever I'm talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that just, it's a balance for me to help me out through just normal life. So like you said, it's a diary, but it's actually feedback in that diary for people.
That's true.
Like, so it elevates, I guess, my mental in certain ways where I know I shouldn't be doing something. They like, yeah, you definitely shouldn't be doing that. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm stop. So yeah,
I think cases.
The first episode, I did an episode on black male vulnerability, and when I tell you, even creating like the concept, it was me and Jay from Just Say Words, and after we recorded, I'm like, people are not going to like this shit. Not because the content was bad, but because me and him really opened up on some shit that black men just don't talk about publicly. I'm like, motherfuckers gonna listen to this shit. They gonna be like, oh, these niggas, this and this. When I tell you the amount of men who reach back out to me like, bro, I'm glad you said that shit because I haven't been wanting to say it. It was like, all right, I'm good now. And I think too, like us as black men, right? We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about women. We'll talk about everything else all day. But like, how often do we really stop and be like, hey, bro, how's your mental today? You feel me? And I think like once we start having more conversation, like because women do that shit now, most of that shit they'll end up bashing men and just have their little echo chamber, and that's fine if that's what they need. But like men, we don't slow down and have those conversations with each other. So I think like when we're able to, especially like us as content creators, and have it publicly at that, it breaks down that barrier a little bit more, and they just keep chipping away at it till like people are gonna start being like, look, this breakup fucked me up, and this is why. Rather than just be like, oh, fuck her, I'm gonna go get 3 more bitches.
Yeah,
like
I'm cool. Like, I don't even need
that's
you.
the
Know what I mean?
beautiful thing about this space, because I forget who said it, but somebody said like niggas, well, I'm good their way into depression. And so with us having a podcast, okay, you can say I'm good in the beginning, but by the time we finish, we all really know what just happened and have a battle plan to go forward.
Yeah, because like you said, it's hard to be vulnerable. So that I'm good is just a simple like, hey, just leave me alone. Like,
let me process this for a minute.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I'm good. Meanwhile, you going through it.
As soon as you are vulnerable, like, no, I need a hug. Oh, you's a bitch.
You soft.
It's like what? It's like I need a hug. I need some transfer of energy. Oh, you want to hold it?
Stop being a bitch.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm done. No, I'm good.
Pull your skirt up.
You feel me?
I feel it. And how do you because you two are close, like y'all family at this point, right? It's not just friends.
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure.
How do you guys support
his
each
mom too on my phone?
By the way,
Likewise.
Did you know your mom follows me on Instagram?
Believe it.
Like it made me reevaluate some of the shit that I post.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's the reason why she follows you.
I swear. Yeah.
She liked some shit one day, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And I went on her page. I'm like,
my dukes.
She out here.
But nonetheless, like, how has being creatives helped you guys support each other better as brothers?
Oh man, it's daily phone calls that will start with the podcast and end with us talking about like just life in general.
Some shit that happened today.
Like even when I had that little situation with the course this past week, it was like the first phone call. Oh, so I'm like, bro, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm gonna call mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like literally. So that it's in itself, it just brought us closer than, which is crazy because we've known each other since 6th grade. So the fact that just that platform is really just airing out our stuff. So
and it's really, I think, trust. A lot of trust, especially like we've always been family. Like we've lived together in family, but like we both. This is the first thing that we've ever worked on like together. Okay. Like as like a project or
Don't
something.
forget about the Paper Boys. We
were
producers for
never
like
mind.
a month together.
MySpace.com/paperboy.
We all there.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of trust because it was like this is like the first major thing that we worked on
that we
together.
Stuck with for
longer than a month.
Mm-hmm.
And like and then just watching each other grow. So I was like, okay, yeah. We would have an interview that I wouldn't be prepared for, but I know that he's good in this area. So, like, I trust him. And then, like, even yesterday we had an interview, and we all surprised the hell out of each other. And it's, like, moments like that where it's like, okay, we each build trust because, like, we'll record. They trust me to get the stuff out. Yeah. And, like, we trust each other by the time we are ready to record that we're all prepared. We all are going to leave with a productive session.
Nobody even asked this week, like, everybody ready? Like, it was none of that. It was just show up at this time. We got it, you know.
Like, we stopped sharing notes, stuff like that. We just show up now because, like, I know I know what he brings to the table. He knows what I'm going to do with it afterwards. I know what shout out to EBT Bandit, know what he going to do when he show up, too. So it's like,
I got to get him on, too. I thought you guys were going to bring him on. Honestly, like.
Scheduling conflict.
Conflict.
Because we literally had an interview yesterday.
Because he's still an adult too. We're all over 30.
Yeah,
bro.
And that's the crazy. Yeah.
Since we talk about mental health,
y'all knees start popping yet?
Oh bro! I walked to my car and my ankle rolled. I was out of work for like a week. He was there,
bro. I used to be the ideal. Like even when I was at my most overweight, like I never had any health issues at all. Mm-hmm. I was 30. I went to, I think it was Atlanta. I was walking around downtown Atlanta all day, just like seeing my people, going to bars or whatever. went back to the hotel that night. I woke up, and when I tell you I woke up and it felt like a circus just decided to all walk across my legs. And this is a thing that I have done my whole life. Like, it's just walking around. And it took me like a week to recover. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what 30 is like.
The recovery time.
Yeah, it's like
the
recovery.
Really
you're right.
You know what I mean?
30.
Yeah, it's like it hurts. I'll be over this in a couple of days. No, ankle still on swole.
This
like
shit's
4
crazy,
days in a
man.
row. Like, oh my
this shit
God.
crazy. But what were you about to say?
Oh, I forget now.
You said you about to ask something about mental health.
Oh, scheduling. Because I feel like that is the hardest part of the entire creative process at all. Is trying to get 4 people in a room at this 4 adults over 30 in the room at the same time because everybody has their lives.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the, I would say the areas that I struggle with most is that brings me the most anxiety is like, okay, I got 3 here, 4 here. He's good this day. So I'm in my room with a calendar, chalkboard, trying to like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that itself also is really what like starts my anxiety because I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I have time to get everybody, and we do it every week, so it's like I want to make sure I get this out soon so we can work on the next one just because we on schedule. And so like but yeah, scheduling is probably the number one trigger of my anxiety that I've noticed with being creative is because I'm so like, and I never thought I was a control freak. But it's like I'm starting to doing this. I realize like, okay, I want to have control of the audio, the visual. I want to do this.
Yeah, sometimes
that,
I got to tell them.
lights.
Welcome to my conundrum. I want to have control. This is why I don't use the overhead lights. I got so many fucking lights just around here because I want everything to be perfect. But like scheduling is one of the things that does cause me because you know a lot when I'm sitting here by myself, it doesn't matter because I can come on, turn on the studio and record by myself whenever. For example, somebody we both know, Malcolm. When I tell you me and Malcolm have a dope ass episode planned about entrepreneurship and how everybody isn't really ready to be an entrepreneur, we planned this episode 8 months ago.
I think I seen it on Twitter.
We have had over 25 dates scheduled to record this episode. And when I tell you it's been my kid's sick, his kid's sick. Oh, I'm on my way. My kid's school just called. I gotta go pick my daughter up.
That you can't even
like it's
it's just,
and that's why I can't blame him because I've had the shit. He's had the shit. Like finally we got this shit nailed in. God forbid anything else happen. But like when I tell you this episode is gonna be transformative in a way for like people who like think they want to be entrepreneurs. We've had this shit planned for so fucking long, bro. That like,
man, yeah, that's some heat. I'm here for that one.
Yeah, so
but 25 dates. We just had to push NASA Gold off for 3 weeks, and I was in here like, bro, we got to get him on this no matter what happened. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I can't imagine.
We trying to get here for the last.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then now I think too now that people since the episode me and you did with my cousin, and people actually saw like how the studio is actually set up for guests. People have been hitting me up like crazy. But the thing is that it's like, first, my kids are here. I have 50-50 custody, so I have like half the time open. But then on top of that, especially in the summer, I have photography jobs that I was doing, videography shit that I was doing. So like people hit me up and like, what can you do on Monday? Mondays are a no-go for me. And then I'm like, well, you not available any other time than Mondays? And Monday's the only time to work for me. That shit, because there's things that I want to create with people that our schedules just have not aligned yet. Me and Von Graves want to do another episode. Shit is just not lined up to save our lives. Like, so.
And that's frustrating because like having an episode like that, just tucked in a chamber, ready to be recorded, and not being able to for 25 dates. Yeah.
Shit's frustrating as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
That made me just not want to do it no more. And there's been times I told him like we've had so many scheduling mishaps. I'm like, I don't even want to do this shit no more. Like
scheduling.
But usually right when I say I don't want to do this shit no more is when the next big thing pops for us.
Yeah.
And it's like I got to be fed up with it for it to actually like work for me. And I'm like, this is not healthy.
The things that you guys did too that let me know if I'm off the mark or not, that's helped you guys is that you used to have a guest every episode. And it seems like now y'all are fine. Like if a guest falls through, it's like, all right, us three gonna bang it out. We good. And that shit is awesome as like a listener to hear, because I think you guys have always been great and naturals at doing interviews. But once you guys stopped relying on the interview so much, you grew as host in a way that like you know, I was a listener before we ever started fucking with each other for real. It's been great to see you guys evolve And so
appreciate it.
And that's actually shout out to him. He's the one that pointed it out because I love doing interviews just because I got into podcasting because I love learning and having dope conversations with people.
Yeah.
But then so we went on that run of just interviews and he was like, nah, we are too interview dependent. We need to get back to just doing us. And then I'm like, nah, fuck that. Or listen. But yeah, that's all I am.
You know.
But that's if you have a partner, the whole point is to bring a perspective that you may not have, and then to bring that shit together. So that's dope. You guys hold each other down.
But within that, because like you said, we just did one yesterday that was smooth, just because we grew as hosts, like you said. You know what I mean? Of just time of just with each other. You know what I mean? Know what our flaws are, know how to pick it up. So.
All right, I have to ask this just for as an interviewer, right? Because I don't want to throw you guys all softballs. How has being working together so hand in hand taught you how to conflict resolve better? Because like, how often do you guys bump heads and then
it's more so maybe we'll lose an episode or something. I'll cuss him out for like 5 minutes real quick, but after I get that off my chest, I'm fine. You know what I mean? It's really just more so we know we got to get that off our chest real quick.
Okay.
It's nothing like emotional. It's all emotion, honestly. It's nothing honest.
It's nothing personal.
Yeah,
Like, it's not attacks on character. It's like, oh, you fucked up.
Yeah. So
I'm going to roast you for about 20 minutes in front of everybody. Let our listeners know you fucked up. So where everybody can be transparent. But that's the thing. Like, if any of us fuck up, we like admit it.
Yeah,
but
because like we know we fucked up.
We're pretty open as far as like even trying to schedule people. Where I have to let him like, nah, we gonna relax. We'll give reasons why. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And we'll make sure we see each other's vision as far as like why we want to do it or why we don't want to do it, and then go from there. So it's a pretty smooth conversation. Like it's never anything where we like because we're both pretty laid back when it comes to that. You know what I mean? We know what we have to do, so it's pretty easy to resolve unless we're just cussing each other out real quick.
Which even if something happens, like even if say we don't agree, we still go with it because like we're still one team. So we'll go with one idea, and if it work, it work. We take what we need from it. If it don't, it don't. Yeah. We still gonna be back next week.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of doing it so often. It's just like, okay, it didn't work this week. It's gonna work next one.
That's how it is with us on the Breaks Radio. Like Mary, because she works for Rock the Bells and she used to work for Hot 97. Like she's legit in the business. Like she's gotten us in some doors we got no fucking business being in. And then Marquis works for Blavity, and then you got me doing my shit, and Baylor does a bunch of other shit for Rare Science Network. But so like when we all come in, because it's 4 of us, it always feels like there's always ends up being 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And so the way that we have worked out resolving conflict with and it's never major, like it's never anything personal. It's like, all right, are we gonna cover this or are we not gonna cover this? Like, and usually we're good at each one just giving something to somebody. Like, for example, if you want to cover the R.Kelly shit, I don't want to talk about R.Kelly anymore, but we talked about something I wanted to talk about last week. I'm not even going to throw up a fuss. You got it. Let's do it. And let's see how it works out. And we never do the I told you so thing. Yeah. I think that's the key, especially in Black people. Like, we like holding shit over each other's head. Like, remember the last time you fucked up?
Yeah, remind me of your past. Like,
oh, I know.
So,
I know. I know.
I just...
But honestly, I'm the type of person like I need that accountability. Yeah. And the homies know it because like if they let it slide one time, we lose one episode, I'll just fuck, they're not even listening. I'm gonna go ahead and lose these other 3 that.
Oh God, he'll come up for a month. Just the camera wasn't on. Like, bro, what are you talking about?
That shit funny.
Yeah.
But that again, and like to bring it back to mental health, like. Because I do a lot of the videography and then like the editing and stuff like that, but I don't do it for our listeners. I do it because like I know the homies is looking at. I don't want to have wasted the homies' time for another week. Yeah. And they know that because they know the kind of pressure I put on myself. So it's like since they know me so well, I know how they're usually gonna respond to stuff. It's really never any like conflict like that. But when I do fuck up, or if any of us fucks up on camera, I think it's healthy to call it out and give it. Throw your little roast on it to make sure it won't happen again.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, that's pretty much how we've gotten here.
Let's not talk about the stress that fucking adding videos anymore.
Bro, I had no idea it was going to be as
we just talked about this on the phone today.
Like this morning on the way up here. it was not what I thought it was gonna be.
The whole green screen we tried for like a month, like that.
Bro.
Try videos, they said. It'll be easy, they said.
I don't even get into the green screen shit because I don't have time. I know how to do it this helps me with that because it has an automatic keyer that you can replace shit in. But I look at it and I'm like, why stress myself? Fuck this shit. And the thing with video too is that you have to be so meticulous in it. What angle am I getting everything right? The lighting, everything right. And then people that watch this shit have no idea 90% of the shit that they think that you just turn on. Because that's how I was before. You turn on the camera, you're good. When I first bought my first camera, I turned on the camera and I'm like, why does this shit look like this? Nigga, you need lights. Like, what the fuck is you doing? So, yeah, man.
And then that journey, we're talking about pretty much this, because we recently just started putting out videos and like videos on our YouTube channel because of the grind of learning how to put stuff out. Like, you think we got it, and then I'm watching it afterwards and I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah.
And it was easier when it was just a podcast on an audio platform.
Yep.
But then, like, due to the pandemic and things going so much towards like video, I feel like that's where a lot of people fell off too. But it's definitely worth it. It was worth the grind of losing a summer and
A whole summer,
Bro,
just dedicated to.
you ain't told me
Trying to
nothing
figure
but a
shit
word. That shit. Me trying to do my first short film, I filmed a whole movie that I end up scrapping all that shit. And so, like, the original Elite Creative, you guys both seen the creative, right? The original Elite Creative was completely filmed and 90% edited, and I was like, fuck all this shit. So there's a whole nother movie out there.
And I get that. As a creative now, I understand. Like, you know what? Just scrap the whole episode and go do something new. I totally.
Bro, I
feel
looked at that shit and I'm like, all right, it has a lot of good shit, but I'm like, but I fucked up here and this little shit, and I fucked up here. Fuck, I'm doing the whole shit gotta go.
And that's the whole you standing too close to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's best. Like, we have the team, because I'm the type of person, I have my face on the glass looking at what it is we just recorded. So I'm watching myself on camera over and over again 5 times a day in 1 week. And then it's got to be them to pull me away. Like, no, just scrap it, put out what you got. Let's go to the next one.
You and I think you have to have a little bit of OCD to be a creative. But then you also have to learn when to just turn that shit the fuck off.
Just let go of
it.
Yeah.
Be OCD about getting shit perfect before you record. But like, that's how I am. I'm OCD about all this shit before I set it up. After I set it up, it is what the fuck it is. That's what it is.
It gotta be.
We got a sign in our studio that says double check everything, nigga. Like, just hang it up just to make sure that everything is like running how it's supposed to. But once you sit down, like you said, it's just, that's it. It's go time.
There's been times we sat down, camera not even on.
Man.
Did a whole episode for nobody.
That shit has never happened to me. The camera hasn't on, but I won't lie to you. There was a time where I set up everything and I left the lens cap on the lens. Bro, I'm listening to this shit. I'm playing the video. I'm like, I hear this shit. Why isn't the video showing up? I closed the program, reloaded. I closed it, and I looked up at the camera. I'm like,
double check
everything.
Oh, man.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, I'd have been hot.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah, because that's what happened the 1 week where the one camera just wasn't on. Like, I thought I hit play, but like, because the way, I'm not gonna get the whole game, but the play button was off. And the whole time, like, we're all sitting there having a good time. Great episode, fantastic episode, one of our best. Walked over, it's like, oh, we got 30 seconds of it. I got me clapping it in front of the screen. Yeah,
that's funny. Well, have you started thinking about making the move from what you, because I don't know if you want to give the special sauce, using what you use to record now and moving over to a more professional option?
I've been dipping my toe into some programs to go professional, but like, I don't know, because like, I feel like even with this whole year with us, like, because we joke and say we lost the whole year, but like, it was really a lot of learning to use what I have. And it was just like, I'm finally to the point now, as of what we recorded yesterday, which I think is our best work, hands down, to the point where I sort of got a formula and I like the way I'm doing it now. But I know with the next couple of things I'm adding to our arsenal, I'm going to have to. Yeah. But like right now, it's just like, and I think that's going to help with my imposter syndrome too. Because like with the way we do things now, I just feel like literally anybody could do what we do.
Imposter syndrome is motherfucking real, bro. Like that shit, like I used to only think that shit applied to like if you got into a college that you didn't think you quite qualified for, you got a job that you didn't think that you quite. That shit can fall into any motherfucking aspect of life, bro. Like I think when people first started taking notice of the Awakened Soul as like an actual production, like, you know me, I'm a cocky individual to a degree, but a lot of that cockiness is just because of the work I know I put in, not because I absolutely think I do everything better than everybody else. I'm just better prepared than a lot of people. But like some of the reviews and feedback I get, I'm like, I don't deserve this shit, bro. Like somebody literally wrote me the episode that I did with Amaya like a year ago and told me that shit saved their relationship with their father that they didn't talk to for 8 months, or I'm sorry, 8 years. And that shit to me, I was like, I ain't did nothing special. Who the fuck am I to be doing this shit? And it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, taking a compliment is like the hardest shit in the world, man.
And then people think you're doing that to fish for more compliments. It's like no, I legit don't see why you think so highly of my
I'm
ass.
uncomfortable now. Like, I get it because it's still weird to even get feedback like on the podcast because it's like at the time what we're doing is like there's it doesn't feel like anybody's listening, and it doesn't feel like we're talking about anything that important. We're just being us. Yeah. And then when somebody hits us with feedback like, "Oh, I enjoyed this, and about, or you talking about your father on this show," and I'm like, I forgot we even talked about it. Yeah. For real. But yeah, receiving feedback like that is just weird. That's another struggle that I'm working towards. That I didn't know I had a problem with till we started creating. Was I didn't know I was bad at accepting positive feedback. Yeah.
And it's funny because like the criticism, it's almost easier to take because you think that about yourself. Because it's like, actionable. Yeah. If somebody's like, "Hey, your audio kind of sucked in this episode," you're like, "Yeah,
you got it. You got it. Yeah."
But that's something that that's pointing out something that I can fix. That's actionable. I can get that. Yeah. You tell me my shit good. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that?
And this is the constant like striving to constantly improve even when people think you're good, because there's always something to improve at. And like that shit that's something that about myself drives me crazy. Like for example, when I upgraded to this mic from that one that you're over there using, the sound between these two motherfuckers you can pick up on if you're listening for it. But most motherfuckers are listening on their AirPods that aren't the best thing anyway. They ain't finna hear the fucking difference to that shit. But I literally obsessed over the fact of why I needed to get this mic. Right? I'm listening on these professional mixing headphones. These motherfuckers who listen to this shit ain't gonna hear this.
They got their phone on speaker.
Exactly. They not picking up on any of that shit. And so like it gets obsessive. And I think too, as podcasters, and I'm glad that you pointed out, use what you have. Like perfect using what you have, because as like creatives, we constantly think like, all right, this new piece of gear is gonna improve this and that way. And it may, but you could have improved that yourself. Just using what now, because a lot of people aren't making money off this shit. Like you putting money in the shit that you're not gonna get that back immediately when you really could have invest time rather than throw cash at it and just improve what the fuck you have going on. So.
Right. And that's how we started. Like I didn't have the cash to get what I thought I needed. And then when I got what I thought I needed, it was way more complicated and intimidating than I thought it was gonna be initially. But no, I'm trying to get like you. And
man, you ain't lying. Man, that shit crazy.
We'll talk about it. We can get you there. We'll talk about it. Bro, that's what I did the Disney Plus sponsorship for a month before I really revamped all of this. When I got that first Disney Plus check, I ain't even gonna lie, I immediately was like, all right, it's time to reinvest. And then it took me, because I tore down that side, I put up everything here. I took a whole weekend plus a day. I actually took the Thursday off work because that's when everything got delivered, and redid this whole fucking studio. And when I tell you, when I sat down where you were sitting at in that couch and looked at everything like, all right, now it's time to work. And I've been fucking putting in work ever goddamn since, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to.
This is amazing.
All right, man. Any last bit of items, any advice that you want to give anybody listening to this? This conversation's gone everywhere, and that's why I love having you two on, because like you two guys have great chemistry. You're brothers, you should. But like we've always had great chemistry between the three of us before we even really knew each other. When you guys was in that office building recording, which has been fucking wild.
They kicked us out that buff.
We was on the run. We've been on the run for the last 2 years.
Yeah. But mental health. Give everyone at least one piece of advice for any brother listening to this who needs to start taking that step into protecting their mental health.
It's okay to be vulnerable, man. Like it's okay to open up and need that help. because that's the hardest thing for me to ask for is help. You know what I mean? So, yeah, ask for help every now and then, man. I promise you, it's people like that that's gonna give it to you. I promise you, it's people close to you that can't wait for you to ask. You know what I mean?
That is true.
So
that is true.
Yeah. Yeah, kill team.
Yeah. Body be on that one. I guess. Well, I don't know. Whenever I find like my mental health declining, or I'm stressed or like sad about something, I just find things that make me laugh.
Okay.
Because I feel like laughter sort of clears your head, and like, you know, that one of them good hearty laughs, like tears coming down, like you take that breath in afterwards, and then everything is fine.
Yeah.
So I like to find things that make me laugh, make me happy, to try to realign my center and get me back to where I'm trying to go. Dope. Yeah. So just laugh more, and ask for help, because.
Don't try to piggyback, cut.
Mine is this. I think as black men, once we realize that we have such a unique experience, that we have generational trauma, right? Just being black men, period, carries a certain level of trauma. And so, like, once you realize that and realize you're not the only one going through, because we put ourselves on islands. We feel like nobody else is going to understand because nobody else is going through this. I don't want to be the weak one. So once you eliminate that thinking and just, it's, I guess I'm going back to you. It's okay to ask for help. It's also okay to go into therapy is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. So, more people need to embrace therapy. Again, therapy isn't for everyone. I want to make sure I say that as well, because I think now it's starting to turn left where everybody thinks therapy is the key, and it's not always for everything. But therapy isn't there to fix things for you. It's to give you the tools so you can fix them yourself.
And you got to go through that process too, like finding the right therapist.
Yep.
Going more than once.
Yeah.
Scheduling.
Yeah. Making, and this is the thing, by not making time to do that, that means you're not making time for yourself. It's okay to make time for yourself. We think, like, again, that goes back to the generational trauma. We never were, our ancestors were never able to stop working. We still have that to this day. We're not in the fields, but we think the moment that we slow down or stop going, we're going to get passed up. And that's part of that generational trauma. So once we start letting that go and being okay with slowing down and reprocessing your shit, like, the world opens up.
I agree 110%.
World opens up. All right, give me your social media, man. Let's get the hell up out.
Barry Whiteowl on Instagram and Twitter. It's Barry Whiteowl on Instagram. Ruapo Fumador on Twitter. Bro, that shit. Social. I can't even speak. Dope Little Podcast on Instagram.
You can email us at dopelilpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at a Dope Lil Podcast. Click the link in the bio on our Twitter. You can see our merch there. You can follow me, the Work Husband, THEWRK Husband, but that's going to change soon because Work Husband's out here getting jumped.
Literally.
So I'm that friend from work. I also want to shout out the homie, the EBT Bandit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Could be here today. Shout out them. Shout out to Cam, Thick and Fudgy and the Keeping It Real Wrestling podcast.
Oh, yeah. They shoot it.
Shout out Donna D of the Tires podcast and all my other little pod babies out here.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you.
Yeah. I learned from the best
producer.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm here the podfather.
Go get them all off.
Man, listen, bro.
Like if our podcast wouldn't be where we are now without this man right here. So shout out to Wake and Soul podcast, CEO Haize, and every other platform he on.
Listen, I got too many at this point, bro.
Yeah.
But
put us in contact with Disney.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. You can follow the podcast at Awaken Soul Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, theawakensoulpod@gmail.com. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can do so at 614-547-2039. We are the #1 podcast for the culture, and this week we out this bitch.
He said that like
he got a number?
He said that like an infomercial.
We gotta get like that.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.